All right. Well, there's some people being willfully detained by Tony Khan, and they're being willfully detained there because he's paying them a lot of money. But now, apparently, for the first time ever in 4 years that we can determine, he is actually setting parameters for what you're supposed to do to get that money. I don't know if the kids are familiar with them, but they're called rules. And they just put some out for the absolute first. Can you recall, Brian Last, a time where there has been a statement with any validity from anybody in AEW that has any power, pull, or connections, cachet in the industry, rules for what the fucking talent is supposed to be doing their job by?
Only one other time, when MJF did an interview somewhere, maybe in Ariel Helwani, I forget where it was, we found that AEW instituted a rule, no more talking to anyone in the media without our permission. It has to go through our office.
That was just talking outside the arena. So that's a rule, but this is an actual rule or rules related to the wrestlers wrestling and how they're supposed to wrestle and what they're supposed to do and not do. And what have we been saying for 4 fucking years now since the first program we saw? God damn, Jesus Christ on a cracker. Somebody needs to tell these mullet heads what they should be doing and not doing. Because obviously they're all greener than pepper trees, and they're straight off the indies, and they've never been on television on cable access, much less national cable. And somebody needs to be guiding these young minds before they all kill each other or send this whole company into the fucking toilet because there's nothing else left to do. And 4 years later, guess what they did? Wouldn't you know who won the pony? And now, Brian, you got the list in front of you, right?
I do. Yes, I do.
Okay. I read this. This is a list, ladies and gentlemen, that Brian Last, here in a few minutes, when I finish droning on, is going to read to you, and we're going to discuss of all the things that Tony Khan has said that the wrestlers in AEW are either no longer allowed to do or can only do with approval or blessing by some hopefully more experienced entity that he's going to put in place to do these things. And I've seen shorter instruction forms from the IRS than this list of they have gone. I'm just going to rib you here for a second, Brian, before you read it. Do you think that there is anybody on the roster, especially in the heat of a match or in the heat of battle, that is going to be able to remember all this shit? And I will postulate that the reason why that none of this shit almost has ever had to be written down before is because until very, very recently in the wrestling industry, nobody's been stupid enough to try to do this shit to begin with. And now they've got to put out a goddamn list longer than a list of people named fucking Smith in the United States of America of what not to do because these stupid dumb fucks keep coming up with more shit that they ought to know better than not to do. So that's my comment on the overall scheme of this, but they finally, I don't know what was the straw that broke the camel's back. Why was this list disseminated?
I couldn't tell you the straw that broke the camel's back. We've certainly have seen more interviews in public from stars in AEW talking about how they're going to do their style no matter what, and how dare anyone critique their style.
Oh, we'll talk about Harpo here in a second.
It's not just Harpo. Even that Moxley interview we just talked about on the Drive-Thru.
Well, but he's, delusional and potentially malfunctional anyway, so he's always going to say shit like that. But was there a specific, have we heard, was there a specific oh no moment where somebody realized, hey, well, now here's another one going to the hospital, or that guy almost broke his fucking neck and we'd had to pay for a funeral? What caused this? Or was it just somebody getting through to Tony that this is not the way to fucking build a wrestling promotion where you're trying to fight the fucking evil empire?
I think if you're trying to staff up and you're trying to empower your staff to be able to actually do anything in the back, if for the 4 years or so of AEW, the reputation has basically been the agents aren't going to say no. The agents are not going to get in your way.
Or can they say no?
You're going to do your match. They
had the pull to say no.
Well, exactly. You're going to do your match. And the way I see it is these rules, because we're going to still see everything that's on this list on AEW. It's just this is a way of getting it to go through somebody, as opposed to just go out there and do what you want. It has to be approved.
Or maybe is this a way to cover somebody's ass so that they've got something on writing when one of these idiots either kills himself or somebody else? Well, look, we told him not to do all this shit.
Yeah, and again, not everything's the same. We'll get to the list in a second. Some things are about wrestlers doing things in the ring. Some things directly concern interaction with fans. So there are a variety of things here. This list has obviously been worked on for quite a while, but here is the list.
Well, yeah, and those that you mention are there to protect them against the lawsuits that I can't believe they're not already defending themselves against. But go ahead.
The following needs to be approved going forward in AEW. Spots and bumps on the ring apron and outside. Table, ladder, and chair spots in and out of the ring. And then it says in parentheses, only allowed with padding.
Wait, does that mean you have to be wearing a hazmat suit? Or does that mean that they're going to put a crash pad underneath all the furniture around the ring so that it looks even phonier than it does now?
I think that's what it is. You have to land in a Jericho pit.
Oh, God, the Jericho pit. How about just don't break any more furniture? We've seen enough to last our lifetimes.
Any elevated spots outside of the barricade, and then in parentheses here, dives and ladder spots on stage, around the arena, and other places outside of the ring.
So you're not allowed to climb up on shit that was out in the crowd amongst the fans that was meant as railings or other type of structures, not for people to climb on and jump off of, or you're not allowed to set ladders up on the stage or in the arena and climb up on them and jump off on people without the express written permission of Major League Baseball.
All pile driver and tombstone variations, including sit-down drivers, inverted poison hurricane rana, and vertebreakers.
Vertebreaker. Almost all these moves are vertebreakers.
The pile driver's banned once again. How about that?
Well, but see, at least they're only going to go halfway with it because, by God, to get it over in Tennessee, Goulas and Welch went to the athletic commission, had it banned for a shoot. Again, the reverse poison hurricane rana or whatever the fuck, what they call it is, that's what they just did that off the top rope on their Wednesday night show that we'll talk about in a minute. And that was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And I'd have fired both guys because why would you risk your life for a goofy looking move that doesn't even look good? A leaping pile driver from Bruiser Bob Sweetan was a lot safer and looked a lot better than that goofy move where you almost break your neck and nobody can see where they're going. But again, how many people have you seen? A ridiculous amount. Pile drivers, 1-2 count, leaping pile drivers, tombstone pile drivers. It's Statlander's finish. I don't know if she ought to be doing it because of her bad knees, but hers doesn't particularly look that good either. The last one I saw, she kind of did it sideways. So when you're limiting these things, but only with permission, then all it's doing is setting the agents up to get heat. Well, it's Statlander's finish. Does she have to quit? But I can't when he tells somebody you can't use that because you're fucking sloppy with it. Well, somebody else is doing it. Well, they're better than you are at it. Well, and that's creating arguments. Just don't do stupid shit. Go ahead.
High-risk dives or top rope moves, and then parentheses, 450, 630, double moonsaults,
What about 720?
SSP, etc. And also it has here with no period, but I assume this is a separate thing, intentional bleeding, and then in parentheses, of any sort, not just blading. What does that mean? What
Well, that means you can't do a hard way either on purpose.
Oh, yeah, I guess that is exactly what that means.
But, goddamn, I wouldn't let anybody on this fucking roster hard way me to begin with. I don't see a Harley race here. But now that means that whoever all these agents are, producers, or people are going to have to clear this shit. Can you imagine in one of the Lucha Brothers matches or in one of any of these matches, they're going to have to sit there and listen to, and then I'm going to go to the top. And I'm going to flip off and dive on the fly. And then I'm going to go to the top. And I'm going to flip off and dive. And then I'm going to go to the top. And then both of us are going to flip off. And then we're both going to flip off again. Over and over in these matches to clear it or not? My God. And so, yes, Moxley is obviously the target of the no cutting yourself on camera, no getting juice without us telling you to when it's called for. That's never had to be written down before. You had to be one of the biggest stars in the business or be given your notice and on the way out of the territory at any point in time to get juice on a goddamn show where you weren't supposed to and weren't told to.
But again, AEW was established as the Wild West with no leadership, with no one who was going to really put their foot down and no one who wanted to upset the wrestlers. So well, everyone got away with everything forever.
Who's going to enforce this, I wonder? Who's the new sheriff? Did they bring Blackjack Mulligan in to enforce this?
Well, let's get back to these rules. Another thing that needs to be approved, well, probably improved too, but approved. Throwing people into, through, and over ring steps, commentary table, bell table, or guardrails, barricades, and also weapon usage.
Jesus Christ. Again, how are these agents going to have time to tuck their children in bed and eat one meal a day just to go through a BBC match on the floor? Or just to any weapons match that they do with the girls? It'll take a fucking year. Okay, well, now we're going to hit little Gladys there with the cowbell. And then somebody's going to come in with a wheelbarrow, and it's going to be full of fucking live piranha. So, yeah, again, this is stuff that would never even have needed to be discussed in almost any other era, because you knew that unless you were told or instructed to have specifically that kind of match, that would be the kind of match you're going to have that night on that show. One of those kind of matches. That you wouldn't even be thinking of doing it. All right, go ahead.
And let me just say, I actually had this wrong. I went to a different website now to see this. Intentional bleeding was separate from high-risk dives and moves, and weapon usage, which we're about to get to, was separate from throwing people into the steps and stuff. Weapon usage. The following weapons need to be approved before usage.
Switchblades, pistols,
chairs,
blackjacks,
chairs,
grenades.
There's a plane going overhead. And there it goes. Chairs, pipes, kendo sticks, hammers, ring bells, bats, chains, etc. Title belts, thumbtacks, skewers, barbed wire, and other sharp, puncturing objects or powders, aerosols, sprays, or liquids.
God. Chairs, chains, bottles, rocks, bricks, sticks, pots, pans, and tin cans.
Also, no throwing of any weapons or objects, chairs, etc.
But wait a minute. Let's back up for a second. Because, now all the young wrestlers that were going to come in and say, boy, I'm going to get to be on TV tonight. I'm wrestling on AEW television. I've only been in the business for 9 months or a year. I was going to go up to the producer and say, hey, can I use this Swiss Army knife on my opponent tonight in my wrestling match? And now I can't.
But I could still use skewers. Well, no, you have to get those approved. So
yeah.
Sorry, Mox. Also, no choking or strangling with hands or a weapon.
What?
And no hanging spots.
Okay, that's ridiculous because that's fucking safe. Well, definitely the strangling and the choking. But then if you know what you're doing, the hanging spot is safer than almost anything that any of their girls' matches have on a weekly basis. So that's just stupid. That's a way you can simulate violence safely.
Yeah, but that could be less about the safety aspect, more about the network aspect.
Oh, good God. You can say fuck, but you can't grab somebody by the goozle pipe.
Danielson was fired from WWE for choking Justin Roberts with his tie during an invasion angle.
Yes, but that was WWE, and they're all a bunch of pussies.
Well,
I'm going by what I'm seeing on this television. They're fucking offensive. They have Moxley sliced himself with razor blades. They had him have a garbage match with the bank addicted drug robber. There's people
he didn't
blurting
have a match
out.
with him. That was Jericho.
Whoever the fuck it was, they had a match with the guy. They blurt out fuck and shit and goddamn and all this other stuff, and the crowd chants that. I think they're okay with grabbing somebody around the fucking neck.
And once again, these are the things that require pre-approval. After this, we'll go through the things that are just outright banned.
Oh, thank God there's something that they just gave the heave-ho to.
But also requiring pre-approval, injury spots or angles, whether or not medical is involved or called to the ring. Also,
so this apparently means that some of the guys have just decided to play hurt in the middle of the match or do some type of injury angle on their own.
Yeah, why else would that be a rule?
And that's, again, this is like telling, I can understand having all these rules for school children who had not existed in society until, they were fucking sent to, kindergarten or whatever, but these are supposed to be professionals. How do you not know all these things to begin with?
Also requiring pre-approval, any physicality in the crowd or crowd brawling, as well as any physicality involving referees, managers, extras, celebrities, or special guests.
Okay, I'm going to get you to enumerate those in a second here, but yes, there should be no touching of the referee unless called for by the booker, right? Yes, there should be no touching of who were the other people. Go by one at a time. Leave manager till last.
Extras.
Okay. If extras are the job guys that are running in to do a pull apart, then what are you fucking running them in there for? Keep going.
Celebrities,
of course you don't fucking touch the goddamn celebrities unless it's an angle and you've already gone over it. That's
Dr.
idiocy.
D.
That is basically no, you should know that. You don't touch the celebrities. Keep going.
And finally, special guests.
I don't know who the fuck that is, but with managers on that list, I can't imagine how we would have been laughed out of the building if we had gone and had to ask Dusty, hey, do you mind if Ricky Morton stomps my fingers in this spot right before we get the heat? That's part of having the match. Your manager is part of the match. So, no, you shouldn't goddamn hold him down in the ring and brand him with a red hot poker or, fucking give him the deliverance routine and take all the heat off of him. But if everyone is in agreement in the match that the manager can interfere or get a little comeuppance in the finish or get, pissed off in the shine or whatever, that's part of the fucking match. I wouldn't think that would need to be cleared. That's a minor thing on this major list. Keep going.
Well, these are now the list of banned moves and actions. Chair shots to the head. Chair shots to the back of the head.
Well, and hold on a second. Again, we went through this in Ring of Honor 10 years ago when they were another thing. Oh, concussions. Well, yes, CT is a real thing and concussions are a problem. And the vast majority of concussions in wrestling until modern times were not caused by chair shots to the head. It was only ECW and all that other horse shit that led to real chair shots to the head. There's never been a chair shot to the back of the head that was in the territory days of wrestling, because the rest of the locker room would have probably jumped the guy that did it and beat the shit out of him, because you don't hit people in the back of the head with a chair shot. That's modern too. But what they're doing by banning that outright, instead of making that one of the agent can approve, is then you've lost something else that you can do, like the hanging, safely and simply and easily, by just making sure that the guy knows how to fucking swing the chair and the other guy knows how to take it. And so you're saying that Arn Anderson, who works there, it couldn't say, well, Bobby Eaton could fucking hit me over the head every night for a month with a chair, and I would never have a fucking issue. But this goofy green son of a bitch over here, because he can't hit anybody with a chair without giving them brain damage, we ban it for everybody. See, now that they're trying to do good, and they don't even know how to do good, because their fucking guys have poisoned the goddamn well of working. Go ahead.
They didn't ban the hanging. They just said that needed pre-approval. They banned the chair shot to the head.
Say even worse then. They banned the chair shot to the head outright, whether you know what you're doing or not. And there's an art to it. And nobody get hurt if you do it right.
Well, I guess the problem is you would think at some point you would need to do that. And now when you do it, you're going to be going back on these rules. And then other guys are going to start complaining. They're going to want to do it. But anyway.
Yeah.
Also banned the buckle bomb.
Applause. That's stupid. Something where a guy's going blind and taking a bump where he can't see where he's headed is stupid.
Moves where a wrestler falls backwards into a turnbuckle, which buckle bomb would fall under, I guess.
I guess another way of saying it.
Imitating concussion or seizure symptoms while selling a move.
What?
AKA the Bryan Danielson law.
Well, wait a minute. So they're saying that you can't work that you have a concussion or that you're going into a seizure, even though you're not really hurt and you're not. Well, that's just stupid.
I guess they think it's such a sensitive thing, and they got negative feedback after Danielson did it, that they're spooked.
Oh, for fuck's sake, fuck, it's sensitive. That's why you should do more of it, because people are sensitive about it.
You know, let me stop here, because that brings up an interesting question. If we all know a wrestler, let's say Danielson, because that's who I'm thinking of here, but it could be any wrestler. If you know a wrestler, it could be Matt Hardy. If you know a wrestler's had a lot of concussions, if you know a wrestler's banged his head a lot, and you could do something safe with them and make a play on it, Shawn Michaels passing out in the ring, are we now to believe that that is not allowed? That somehow is off limits?
That's
playing
insane.
on the actual injury that people know about?
If I've got a baby face that has been out with a concussion problem, the first thing I'm going to do is have somebody hospitalize him with a goddamn leaping pile driver on a metal chair and let him spend the next 6 to 8 weeks fighting his way back into the ring to get even with that son of a bitch.
Also banned spitting.
And also sticking your gum under the desk.
Bleeding while in the crowd.
You think. And again, people laugh about this because the modern fans laugh about being concerned about something like that because they're living in that goofy world where, oh, I got some of his blood on me when they fought by. The state of Indiana, as you'll recall, the health department sent out a notice last year for everybody who went to this fucking goofy garbage outlaw wrestling show in Indiana to go be checked by the health department for bloodborne diseases because of the shit that went on there. And somebody goes and gets checked and has hepatitis A, B, C, D, E, G, F, or fucking Z. And nobody can prove they didn't have it before they went to that fucking thing. And they sued Tony Khan and they're living on the French Riviera. Whatever the fuck. It's just goddamn common sense.
Also banned using weapons or projectiles in the crowd. And Actually, I don't know if you want me to go through them real quick. The last few here are all about the crowd throwing anything with blood on it into the crowd, taking food and drinks from fans in the crowd, and finally, making contact with fans in the crowd.
In the crowd. What have we been saying on this show since before there was an AEW when they were just doing it at the Indies? How fucking insane are you people? Every time for the last 15 years that I've done an independent show, I've tried to explain to the promoters where they had that type of thing. You know you're going to get sued sooner or later, right? With what you're doing here for no fucking reason. Just because you watched ECW on TV when you were a kid. It's again common sense and something that never happened in the territory days for a variety of reasons. One of which nobody wanted to get sued. And two of which, if you fought in the crowd in those days, somebody would get stabbed and not the fans, the wrestlers. So you didn't do that because it was stupid. But again, it's all fun and games until, my little sister fucking Myrtle gets her front teeth kicked out by some guy in the BBC taking a bump off the fucking railing from the Buckaroos after their triple jump fucking Lindy off the goddamn lighting grid.
5 stars.
5 stars. So, they've at least tried to give the wrestlers some rules. Most of those rules are ones that we've been saying that they should be doing or stop doing ever since they've been in existence. Some of them are stupid because there are rules on there, like with the chair to the head or like with some of the other things, just because their goddamn talent doesn't know how to work and nobody has been allowed to be in charge of them up till now. So they've ended up with everybody doing all this shit meaninglessly over and over. And now, they're still going to have to approve a lot of that stuff, as we said, or elsewise all their fans are going, well, it's boring now. They just look like stars and wrestle. They don't do all the shit with the fucking furniture. So who's going to get approved and who's not? Who's going to get their feelings hurt? Because we know they're a sensitive bunch. Well, he wouldn't let me do my flying fucking zippity-doo-dah because he said I might land on the guy again and break his face like I did last time. So I'm mad at him, whoever the producer is. And who's going to be the ultimate authority in all this? Tony Khan, he's a big putter downer. So I don't know whether they even expect this is going to fly or not, or whether they're just doing it to cover their ass in case a dead wrestler's family or a live infected fan's family decides to sue on somebody's behalf.